In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Nerd fonts. So as always, you can find all of the commands that I run in this video, as well as relevant documentation over on my blog. I'm going to leave two links at the bottom to the Nerd font repo and the Nerd font website. All right, so let's take a look at this picture here. So what is a Nerd font? So a Nerd font is essentially a developer font, or a font that is often used to write programs with or something like that, that is patched with a bunch of icons from these iconic fonts here. Things like Font Awesome, if you've heard of that, weather icons, octagons, or material design icons. So each one of these fonts has some glyphs associated with it. Now imagine if you took all of the icons here and you aggregated them and then you applied them to a font so that that font could use all of these icons. And that's what a Nerd font is. So our options for Nerd fonts, if you head over to the repo, this is one of the links that I had in the blog. All right, so if you scroll down, and we can make this a little bit bigger, you can see this same picture. And now if we scroll down to the patched fonts here, then you can see like, okay, so these are all my options for fonts that have all of the icons included with them. So this was like Firecode Nerd font, Hack Nerd font is another popular one. There's like Roboto, there's Ubuntu in here. So there's a bunch, you have a lot of options, right? Now, also, what we can do is we can take a look at actually installing them. So I guess before we install them, something that we should do is take a look at what we get with one of these fonts, why you would want one. So maybe you work on, or maybe you've seen people use like Vim or NeoVim, and you can see these cool icons inside them, right? And so how I'm able to show these is I'm using a Nerd font. Also imagine that you were going to work on like a bar up here at the top of your screen and you want to have these cool icons like for Wi-Fi or whatever else, maybe sound or something. Then you're going to need something like a patched font set or one of these fonts here to display these glyphs, right? Okay, so now we know what we're getting with one of these. So where can I get a big set of icons that I can use once I've installed one of these? And we're going to go over installing a Nerd font, but I just want to show you where you can get that. So if you head over to this cheat sheet, and how I got here was I left a link in the description to this page here. This is the Nerd fonts homepage. You go over to the cheat sheet. You can come into this search bar here, press enter, and you can just wait a second. And now every single little icon that comes with your font will be inside here. So now what you can do is you can press, you can click on the little icon next to it, and then we can paste that into your terminal if you're using a Nerd font in your terminal, which you should be, and we can just paste whatever we want in here. And as long as you're using a Nerd font, it'll show up, all right? So that's basically what we're getting out of this. We're getting the ability to show all of these icons, okay? So let's now talk about installing one. So there's two kind of useful ways, in my opinion, to install them. There's a bunch of ways to install them over on the repo. I think they give 7 options for installation. Also, they do give an option for patching your own font. If you're interested, you can read more. But let's talk about just getting them, getting the basic ones installed, or a basic one that you want installed. So basically what you can do is you can go over to the repo, scroll to the top here, then click on patched fonts. And remember, a patched font is a font that has a bunch of icons patched into it. Okay, so click on that. The same list will be in here. And so a pretty popular one is Hack. And that's the one that I'm using in my terminal right now. Now, you'll have options that'll say bold, bold italic, italic, regular. So what you can do is download one from each of these groups. Okay, so you'll click on that, you'll click on complete, and then now you have a few options in here. So do you need all of them? No. The only one that you're going to need is this one here, typically, the one that just says Hack, regular, Nerd, font, complete. Mono will be one that I think has specific spacing to it and doesn't allow for ligatures. So usually you're going to want this one, and I guess there's an option for Windows as well. So this is just the Hack Nerd font, and remember this is only for regular font. If you go back, there's going to be one for bold, bold, italic, italic, and regular. So like if I go into italic, I'll see, okay, click on complete, and then there's one for italic as well. All right, so what you're going to want to do is download each of these. So one for bold italic, one for regular. We're just going to, click on the regular one to show you how to do that. So I'm going to click on this regular one, and then what you'll do is you'll click download. So then, download window will pop up and you can pull it down. Now I already have a few installed, so we're going to go take a look at those. So where should you put them once you install it? Well, where you should put it is in home /.local. This is a little backwards here, but .local share fonts, right? So we're going to go into .local share fonts. And then I'll print working directory to show you where I am. So you can see there's a bit of a typo here, but basically it'll be /.local, which is a hidden file, so you don't see it in your home directory, share and fonts, okay? Now once you're in there, you can put a bunch of .ttfs or .otfs in here, and these will be fonts available to you. Now it will recursively search inside of this directory as well. So if you create more directories inside of here, call them whatever you want. I have one called nerd fonts inside here. Then you can cd into nerd fonts. And now this is like just a bunch of the nerd fonts that I just have installed. So we're going to search for the hack one. So we're going to do ls, and we're going to pipe ls. So let me show you this really fast at the top here. What we're going to do is we're going to do ls. Then we're going to pipe that into grep, which is just get regular expression, and then we're going to want to get hack, okay? So we're going to take the contents of listing this directory, pipe it into grep, and we're going to be searching for hack, okay? And so after doing that, you can see, okay, hack is now highlighted. Now you'll notice the difference between some of these. We have some mono ones downloaded, but the ones that you're going to be interested are these ones here, okay? So now if you have a terminal emulator, this one's called Alacrity, but maybe you're using iTerm, maybe you're using GNOME terminal, maybe you're using any terminal, it doesn't matter, right? Then what you're going to want to do is find in your settings where to set a font, and then choose something like hack or choose something like Fira, right? Like we have a lot of options. If you go back into patched fonts on the repo, you have a lot of options, right? I'm just using hack as an example. You could use any of these. I know a lot of them are really popular. All right, so we can go back and we can do that. So how I'm getting this to happen in Alacrity, for instance, is if I go to the config, and my config for Alacrity is in home.config alacrity, alacrity.yaml. All right, if I open this up and I come down to here for the font, I can see, okay, well, normal, family, hack, and style regular, bold, hack, and then style bold. Italic, hack, style italic, so on and so forth. That's why I installed all the different ones, so when it wants to show something in italic, it can show something in italic. All right. So that's basically how you'll set it for this terminal emulator, but as I said, you can use it in any terminal emulator just by pointing to that particular font. There will be a section in your terminal emulator to do it. Now, there's another good way to do this too. Imagine that you want to pull down some scripts or pull down some fonts in a script. So what you'll want to do is you can just curl them from the Git repo, right? So how you can do that is remember to make that home.local share fonts directory, because that's where we're going to be putting these. Then for curl, you're going to need to cd into there, and then this and means then after doing that, and it worked, curl this guy down here, right? So we're going to be curling it down. We're naming it this. This is an example for Fira code. So we're going to be naming it Fira code, and then we're going to be pulling down a particular path. So how do you get this path to pull it down, right? What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go over here to whatever nerd font that you want. The one that's in the example is Fira code, so we'll click on Fira code. And we'll just go to the regular one here. And then what you'll want to do is go to complete and click your font. We'll do this one right here. And then you can just grab this URL at the top. And you can see that it has like these %2020. You probably can barely see that, but if you do go look on the blog, you'll see the %20. That'll just be for a space. That's how a space is represented in a URL. Okay, so also you'll notice that some of them are TTF, and so what's the difference? And some of them are OTF. So what's the difference between TTF and OTF? The difference between TTF and TTF is an older standard, and OTF is built off of the TTF standard. It includes a few extra things, and I left a link to an article kind of going over the difference between true type fonts and open type fonts. I know that if basically the open type fonts are newer. I'm not sure that TrueType fonts support ligatures, but I know that OpenType fonts support them. If you want to read more, you can check out this link that I put in the blog. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for Nerd Fonts. In the future, I can do videos about installing other fonts, like things like for emojis and stuff like that, or things like your font config, because a lot of people, I think, get their font config a little messed up every now and then. But for this video, I just wanted to go over Nerd Fonts because people ask me how I get the icons in some of my videos and in my NeoVim config and stuff. So I figured I would kind of demystify that process. So that's pretty much it for this video. Make sure to go check out the Discord server. We have a lot of people over there that are really helpful. And also, if you have the means, you can support me over on Patreon. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.